September 4th, 476 AD. Barbarians are ravaging Rome. The city is screaming. The Western Empire is collapsing. But for one family, this wasn't the end of the world. It was just a change in management. Whilst other Roman families fought for the title of emperor, this family stayed in the shadows, pulling the strings. And when the barbarians arrived, they greeted them not as conquerors, but as new clients. We like to think Rome fell because of wars, but the truth is, Rome was sold off piece by piece by a single family so powerful that even the collapse of civilization couldn't bankrupt them. This is the story of the Anicii. To find out how the Anicii family became so powerful, we need to turn the clock back 200 years, to the beginning of the 3rd century. The cracks of Rome's invincible empire are starting to show, and the era of the good emperors is over. In a span of 50 years, Rome sees 26 emperors rise and fall. Almost all of them perish by the sword, assassinated by their own guards, killed in civil wars, or executed by rivals. The average life expectancy of a Roman emperor in this era is shorter than that of a gladiator. For most noble families, this chaos was a trap. They bankrupted themselves, raising armies, chasing the purple cloak, and ultimately losing their heads. So, how does a family buy an empire without taking the throne? The Anicii family realized that in a dying empire, diversification is survival. Most Roman families were influential in one region. If you were powerful in Gaul and the barbarians invaded Gaul, you lost everything. If you were powerful in Syria and the Persians invaded, you were destitute. The Anicii played a different game. They didn't just buy land, they built a portfolio that spanned the entire Mediterranean. They secured vast wheat fields in North Africa, the breadbasket of Rome. They bought vineyards in Italy and olive groves in Spain. This meant that no matter where the crisis was, the Anicii cash flow never stopped. If the Goths burned their farms in Italy, their estates in Africa were still printing money. But their most ruthless tactic wasn't farming, it was marriage. They aggressively targeted ancient, dying noble lines, families that had land and prestige, but no male heirs. By marrying into these fading houses, the Anicii family didn't just join them, they absorbed them. Every time a rival family was purged by a paranoid emperor or wiped out by a plague, the Anicii family were there, ready to manage their assets. By the 4th century, they had achieved something dangerous. They owned so much land and employed so many thousands of peasants and tenant farmers that the state became reliant on the Anicii family. They controlled the food supply. They controlled the tax revenue. They were no longer just subjects of the empire. They controlled it. Which brings us back to 476 AD. As the barbarians marched on Rome, the rest of the Senate was in a panic. They saw Odoacer and his Germanic horde as the apocalypse. But the Anicii family? They just saw a new client. You see, Odoacer was a warlord. He knew how to sack a city, but he had no idea how to run an economy. He arrives in Italy and realizes he has a massive problem. He needs to feed his army, collect taxes, and maintain order. But the machinery of the state is broken. The Anicii family realized that Odoacer didn't want to burn the farm. He wanted the harvest, and they owned the harvest. So, while other families fled, the Anicii stayed put. They walked into the throne room and made the barbarian king an offer he couldn't refuse. They offered him legitimacy. They offered him the administrative network to actually rule Italy. In exchange, Odoacer agreed to leave their massive estates untouched. The Western Roman Empire officially died that day. The last emperor was deposed. The legions were disbanded. But the Anicii family, they didn't lose a single acre. In fact, under barbarian rule, they became even richer. With the emperor gone, there was no one left to check their power. They became the most powerful family in the ancient world, and their control continued well after the fall of Rome.